So much of woodworking today feels completely disconnected from wood. That's not how I want my work to feel. So I've set out to find a gentler path. To work with nature, not against it. Something deeply rooted in tradition and a love of trees. So with this project, I'm going to continue the search for this different way of working. And the foundation to this approach is all wood joinery. How the space will feel is determined all the way at the beginning by carefully selecting each piece of wood at the lumber yard and then laying out all of the parts with the end design in mind. I want to guide the eye using grain direction like a paintbrush, so I select each part with intention and care. This one is for my wife. It's going to be a place set apart from daily life, a haven of peace, and a space for flowers. The design needs to feel fully immersive and create a sense of warmth. And for us, nothing feels warmer and cozier than the color tones of mid-century modern interiors. Throw in the simple, clean lines of Japanese architecture and some mahogany paneling and tie it all together with all wood joinery, and I've got something I'm really excited to build. To begin, I'll start with the tatami base, which is put together using a simple double-through tenon. But before I can begin any joinery, I'll need to mill all my parts and get them dimensioned. I do most of this part of the process using machines. I'll rough mill it first, then let it sit a few days. Finally, bring it to finished dimensions. Once all that work is done, I can start laying out all of my joinery. There are a lot of mortises in this project, so there's a whole lot of chopping to be done. To make this easier, I usually drill out the bulk of the waste first. After I've got the mortises nice and clean, I check for any high spots with a small square. If it touches flat on either side of my layout lines, then I know I'm finished. I always chop all of my mortises first, then cut the tenons. It's much easier to fit the tenon to the mortise than the other way around. I can sneak up on a perfect fit little by little with the hand plane. If this craft appeals to you and you want to learn more about it, you can find my list of resources as well as a Japanese hand tool course in the description below. I always appreciate your support. The nature of wood is quite impractical and challenging. It moves and breathes, so often to get it to do what we want, we constrict it with screws and nails. I want it to move freely in my work. This to me feels more honoring to the material and can create environments that feel more life-giving. By using simple shapes and thoughtful solutions, I can make something that is strong and sturdy without the need to force it together with screws. I check the fit and then let them rest a little bit until I'm ready to put it all together. The next joint will join the back frame post to the base. For this, I'm going to use an offset double tenon. This joint needs to be really tight to prevent any racking on the back frame. So I have to slow down and think very carefully about all of my layout. All these lines can get confusing, so I make clear markings showing where I need to cut to. Because these tenons are offset, these cuts are going to get a little awkward, but going back and forth from cross-cutting and ripping with a handsaw, and then chopping out the waste with a chisel, these tenons will come out just right. finish it off, I'll give a little chamfer on the ends and now I'm ready for the next joint. To join the back frame rail to the post, I'll make a large haunched mortise and tenon to make it strong and prevent racking. This top rail needs to be exactly the width of where the two posts join the base, so lining up my shoulders is pivotal. And again, more chopping. For the front post, I'm going to cut the same double mortises to line up with the base tenons. Then I'll add in a half lap to give a little more strength. I first need to pick my outside faces to get the right grain facing out. These mortises need to line up perfectly, so I match the layout with a combo square and transfer those marks to the post. Now to add in the half lap. I'll check the fit and then move on to the next joints. This is a blind housed dovetail. This is what locks the whole side frame together and gives everything a lot of strength. I first lay out where the mortise side needs to go on the posts so they line up on either end. You'll have to forgive me, but I lost all of the footage of me cutting these out, which is a huge bummer. But basically I chopped it all out like a regular mortise, then added a 1:5 ratio angle on the bottom half of the joint for the dovetail shape. And then cut the corresponding male side into a 1:5 ratio dovetail shape. When driven together, this joint is incredibly strong and stabilizes the whole structure. The final joint is a Kanawatsugi scarf joint to join the two halves of the post. I have a separate video on how I cut this joint that you can watch at the end of this video. I sculpted the post after I cut it, which I think turned out pretty cool. With all the joinery done, it's now time to start finishing. No sandpaper is allowed on the solid wood surfaces. I get my kanna out and progressively take finer shavings until I get the luster I'm looking for. Finish up with my mentori kanna, and then work through all of my parts. For the front post, I want this to be a cylindrical shape, so I'll start out with a draw knife to rough out the shape. Then refine it with a series of hand planes. And finally, finish it off with tiny shavings from my tiny planes to reach a nice polished surface that's smooth to the touch. To keep the nice luster from the hand planes, I have to be very thoughtful about what finish I use. My wife wanted a very specific color, so I came up with this natural finish. I start out with kakishibu, then use a mixture of burnt umber mineral dye and Osmo hard wax oil. I'd never done this before, but I'm really happy with the results. Working wood in this way adds many challenges. I have to learn how wood works on an intimate level, but I also learn a lot about myself in the process. The patience, focus, and perseverance it takes to see a project to the end tries me over and over again. If you're looking for efficiency for its own sake, this isn't the path for you. But that's not what I'm after. I want to get at the marrow of what makes working and living with wood so life-giving. This will be a lifelong journey of seeking, but I plan on trying my best with each project. And now with this one complete, my wife now has a space for flowers.